Blazing Balrogs, you're running Waterdeep Dragon Heist, and you haven't had a chance to research one of the key NPCs, a world-renowned swashbuckler and mercenary lord, Jarlaxle Baenre. What are you going to do? Well, luckily you know a wizard who can cast Legend Lore! The first thing you need to know is Jarlaxle is a cunning rogue with decades of experience under his belt. He was born and raised in the drow city of Menzoberranzan, where he was struggling to be known in the matriarchal drow society. Jarlaxle soon learned that to truly rise up, he would have to leave this city and journey to the surface world. With the intrigue and political skills he learned in the Underdark, Jarlaxle quickly gained power in the Forgotten Realms and made many quick allies. Now, let's get into Jarlaxle's backstory. There's a lot of history here, so stick with me. But the birth of Jarlaxle Baenre is one shrouded with mystery. There were only 3 living witnesses to the event. When Jarlaxle was born, he was meant to be killed because of his order of birth. However, when the matron mother of House Baenre came to strike down the infant, she could not do it. Instead, she called forth her eldest son to do the deed. However, when he struck at the infant, a kinetic barrier appeared, blasting him back and killing the older man. Jarlaxle was actually granted a memory of this event, and it gives us a powerful image of how cruel the drow society he grew up in was. As Jarlaxle grew to his prime, he spent time in the Melee Maether, the warrior academy of Menzoberranzan. Here he learned battlefield tactics as well as a deadly skill with the blade. However, Jarlaxle knew that he would never be able to achieve his hopes if he followed the path that society laid out for him. So he began the construction of the Bregan de Aerith. Jarlaxle then relinquished his house and went to work gathering together bits of rogue aspects of Menzoberranzan. Most of these were male outcasts from the society, and he brought them together into what he named the Bregan de Aerith, a mercenary group. Over the years, Jarlaxle spent a lot of time expanding this empire and playing the intrigue game of this dark city. Through this work, Jarlaxle first met the cunning Artemis Intreri, a overworld mercenary assassin who was at the time looking for someone to broker a duel with him and his nemesis. However, through extenuating circumstances, Jarlaxle and Artemis became close allies, and Jarlaxle saw an opportunity to expand his company to the surface. Around this time, Jarlaxle came into the possession of a dark artifact known as the Crine Shiniba, known as the Kren Shiniban. This dark artifact corrupted Jarlaxle and took him down a dark path until 2 of his commanders of the Bregan de Aerith plotted his demise. Luckily, Artemis managed to save his friend and wrest him from the control of this dark artifact. Then, both of these adventurers went onto a crusade through the Bloodstone lands, and although their paths diverged after this, they both held a mutual respect for one another. However, this friendship was not meant to last, as a new threat arose. A conflict was brewing between Jarlaxle's old home of Menzoberranzan and a magocracy known as the Netherese. The Netherese wanted Jarlaxle to betray his friend and hand him over, or else they would destroy the entire city. Seeking to think his way out of the situation, Jarlaxle handed over Artemis, seeking to free him once the deal was complete. However, the matrons of Menzoberranzan cast a spell on Jarlaxle, changing his memory to think that Artemis had betrayed him. By the time this trickery was shaken off, Artemis was long gone. Overcome with grief at the loss of his friend, Jarlaxle went on to yet more adventures. He used his power and influence to stage a coup against the oppressive rulers of the city known as Luskan, finally opening it as a free port. Jarlaxle also band together with the legendary adventurer Dritz Do'Urden and his party to overcome the Ghost King, a combination of many of their past enemies. Later on, they also came under the same banner to overcome a fire primordial, which they had unknowingly released. Jarlaxle was thought to be killed in this battle. However, years later, when his allies were captured by the Netherese, he came out of hiding to free them. After this, Jarlaxle went on many more adventures, even discovering the legendary city of Caliday, the home of the uncorrupted Avendrow. However, Jarlaxle's story really comes to a head with the civil war of the city of Menzoberranzan. The civil war was fought between the priestesses of Lolth and the rogue houses. It was a long, bloody conflict in which Jarlaxle's second-in-command, Kumuriel, was killed. Seeking to forge a peace, Jarlaxle set out to make a deal with the Matron Mothers. Any who wished to leave the city could leave with Jarlaxle. However, they would be forever forbidden. Those who remained could rejoin society. So Jarlaxle gathered around 2,000 refugees and set out for the surface. This is where Waterdeep Dragon Heist meets Jarlaxle. He has been weathered by experience, battered by betrayal, but throughout all, holds on the hope that he can make a better life for those around him. Okay, let's talk personality. From the accounts and descriptions we have of Jarlaxle, we know that he is a charismatic mastermind. One of his generals even described that he put forth a risk-loving, foolish-looking persona to distract from his effortless strategy. Another key aspect of Jarlaxle is he'd always rather make a friend than an enemy. This means he will try and barter with anyone trying to bring them over to his side and only resort to violence as a last resort. When role-playing Jarlaxle, it's important that he comes across as being good with words. This can be accomplished in a variety of ways based on your characters, but one way is to have him be extremely complimentary. Have him comment on the fine attire of the party's bard, or the strong, toned muscles of the party's fighter. Have him be slow to anger and laugh when the party makes a joke. Have him give the party nicknames, buy them drinks. Jarlaxle is going to come across as super charming, especially when there are potentially useful allies on the line. Okay, the first thing I'm going to say about Jarlaxle's character sheet is, dang! This is the closest to God tier I've seen a swashbuckler rogue get. Right out of the gate, Jarlaxle's attributes are insane, with a 22 in dexterity, maxed out intelligence, as well as a 19 in charisma. His weakest attribute is probably strength saves, so if he sees any party member who can restrict movement or force a strength save, he'll probably target them first. Next up is Jarlaxle's beautiful list of magic items. A lot of these are for infiltration and intrigue, but his +3 rapier and +3 armor are going to come in handy in combat. To go with all this gear, he has a skill called Master Attuner, which allows him to attune to not 3, not 4, but 5 magic items. For defense abilities, Jarlaxle has the classic Rogue's Evasion, which gives him some resistance to dex-based AoEs and stuff. However, he also has one legendary resistance. He'll probably be saving this for something that's a big ol' spell that is targeting one of his lower attributes. He also has Fey Ancestry, which is common among all elves, but the real showstopper here is called Suave Defense. This lets Jarlaxle add his charisma bonus to his armor class. This brings us up to a gorgeous 24 for his AC. And I love this ability so much because it really pulls in to Jarlaxle using his words, even in combat. When it comes into combat, Jarlaxle has multi-attack, where he can either make 3 rapier attacks or 2 flying dagger attacks. He'll probably be sticking with whichever one suits his environment most, but if he has the chance before combat, he will set up his sneak attack with his innate drow spells, namely Fairy Fire. If Jarlaxle decides to fight the party, he will use every advantage he can get. Things like cover and enemy position will all become tools in his belt for defeating the party. This meets mechanics with his legendary actions. He gets 3 of them and can use them either on Quick Step, which gives him some movement without provoking opportunity attacks, or the classic Attack, which costs 2 legendary actions. He will likely be using these to use Quick Step as much as possible and move around the battlefield, getting in and out of melee range as he sees fit. Overall, Jarlaxle is a legendary swashbuckler with a diverse history and influence over a vast mercenary empire. He has thrown off the oppression of drow culture and carries with him a steady smile. Any enemy is a potential ally, and any ally a potential enemy. But one thing is for sure, Jarlaxle watches them all like an elaborate chess game, unfolding across the Forgotten Realms. Alright everyone, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching this casting of Legend lore. Give it a big ol' thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe for some more Prismatic Wizard shenanigans. Huge shout out to anyone who contributed to the Forgotten Realms wiki. If you want to check out more stuff about Jarlaxle and the Forgotten Realms as a whole, I'll put the link down in the description. Also, in the comments, shout out about any different monsters, items, or characters you want me to cast Legend lore on. However, until then, keep it chromatic.